Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored. Welcome back to another episode of our profile of sorts on David Galvadon, Spider from Cantaranas. Along came a spider. You remember those books? James Patterson took me through some rough times in prison. In fact, books were like my escape. And I remember that series. I remember the James Patterson series. I got into that. I got into Harold Robbins. I got into Louis L'Amour. I got into Jackie Collins. Oh my God, she was so smutty. And that's why I loved her books. Jackie Collins was all about smut, right? Uh, but I remember that story. I remember those books that used to take me through a lot of rough times. And people always ask me, hey, why don't you do a list of books that you've read? And you know what? I've read thousands of them. Thousands, so many so that I would start reading a book, and the most of my reading was in Ad Seger's shoe. Right, when you get locked down, the first thing you want to do is get a pen filler. You want to get a pen filler so you can write letters, and then you want to get a book, a nice, healthy, fat novel, because when you're in Ad Seg or you first go to the shoe, you got nothing in your cell but a mattress, a blanket, some tooth powder, a little stubby toothbrush about that big that they cut off the end of. The whole handle's cut off, and maybe a piece of soap and a brown cup. Those little Xylon little brown cups, right? That's all you got. So you want something to write a letter with, and you want something to read. That's really what your priorities are. So for me, it was book. I wanted a book immediately because I mean I could do anytime, anywhere. I don't care how austere or how bad it was. I could do anytime with a book. It's just like an escape. I traveled so many places. I learned so many words. It just like opened up this Pandora, this panorama of possibilities. You could envision the places. One of my favorite authors was Stephen King, right? And The Talisman is one of my favorite books that he wrote. In fact, there's one. I was thinking about this the other day when we were doing the spider thing. There's one part in The Talisman where a little spider is talking to the main character, and I think the spider says, because there was a transient with no teeth, and that told him fush and thief. He couldn't pronounce F and thief, so he said fush and thief. So somewhere, if my memory serves correctly, a little spider replicated those words to the main character in the book. And I was thinking about that when doing this. Along came up a spider series, right? But I digress. I always do that, and a lot of people have asked about books, and I just have a passion for books. I do. I mean, reading is life. It really is. It's life. For me, it was life while I was doing life. But we're gonna finish off this video today. I mean, we've done the two segments on this video, and I wanted to finish it off in its entirety today. I know that a lot of people are saying, "Hey, she sounds like a grandma, like she hasn't done anything, right?" Well, I assure you that she may be a grandma, but she's implicit in these activities, right? And I'm gonna show you some stuff that's gonna kind of turn your head, right? She's currently in prison, as her brother is, David. Obviously, this is at Pelican Bay. This was on June 22nd, 2013. 23. Let me see. We're now in 2026, so that would be 13 years later. Right, here we are, 13 years later, and she's serving a lengthy RICO sentence, and Spider's gonna die in there. That's just the unfortunate reality. I mean, you got to listen to the guy. His whole mentality is negative, and everybody's a coward. Everybody's an idiot, and it's kind of like has no empathy for anybody, right? And we're gonna finish this off now. Let you go through it, and we're gonna again. I'm gonna be showing you some stuff uh, with Sylvia Olivas. This is the woman here in the visiting room that's gonna kind of change your mind about who she is, right? And I'm not trying to convince you, right? But I was kind of shocked when people were saying um, that there wasn't like she was a grandma. She didn't seem like she was doing anything. But here we go. Let's run the video and we'll dissect it as we go along. Let me jack my volume up here so you'll be able to hear it. And here we go.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, he got it. I was happy that he has a salary because he's so young, you know.
Yeah, because I hate to send word to him that his mother passed away and he don't know.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to say, because I could send word over there to him.
Yeah.
But that'd be kind of messed up, you know.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I'm going to call Helen and see if, I told her I was going to call her when we were up here.
Yeah.
After I visited, she sent her love to you and all, and she said to say hello. And she said that she is planning and as of right now wants to come in August, but her grandchildren are in I think she just has one left.
Yeah, well the other one, but this one right here is not even Ricky's kid.
Oh.
That goes to show you how good this woman is, you know, because she had both kids. The other one, this one's Brianna, and that's Ricky's stepdaughter.
Oh,
but the other kid, Liana, see, they were both. See, the court were going to take the kids away, so at that time she went and got both kids. They were only 7 and 8 years old at that time, so they took custody. But then as they grew older, then Liana started getting involved in drugs and wanted to be with boys, and they were sneaking boys inside the house, so she threw them both out the house. She said, I'm tired of this. You know, and this time they're 13, 14 years old. And she wrote me and told me all about it. She said, I just couldn't take it. You know, these kids, you know, they just didn't want to behave or go by our rules, so I threw them out the house. So then Brianna, she came back, so she accepted her. And then Liana, she was going to jail, and then they put her in juvie. So what happened is Helen's sister took in Liana.
Oh my goodness.
That's not even her daughter, but that's how good these people are, you know. So they took her in. They said, all right, we're going to take her in, provide everything she needs. So these girls have everything in the world.
Wow.
You know, they're financially situated. They don't have no burdens or nothing. They're all retired. Wow. And so Brianna's the one that's been doing the best. That's the one that lives with her. But that's not even blood.
Wow.
You know, that was, she has another father, but the only reason why she took Brianna in at that time because she was with Liana, who's Ricky's blood daughter. Looks just like him,
wow.
You know. So she took them both in, and even just to not split them up, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, they got their own problems too. You know, both her daughters had breast cancer too, and she has a lot of, you know, psychological things going on in her mind. Plus, she's old, you know.
You're right. That's what she told me. I'm too old to be going through it.
So, but Brianna seems to be doing the best right now. And then Liana, like I said, they took her out of a juvie and put her in a stable environment with her, which is her sister. And they're both retired. Her and her husband's retired, so they took her in. You know?
Wow.
And then Ricky, that little coward, you know, he doesn't even go over there to see them or nothing. He doesn't take them much.
There goes that word. He throws that around about the cops, about everybody. Coward and idiot. That's like his favorite word.
Me or nothing like that, you know. You know, they do it because of me or what I think. You know, that's why they do it. You know, they say this has nothing to do with Ricky. We're not doing that because these are your grandkids, you know. So that's why we do it, you know. And they're just good people, you know. And these coward Ricky, he doesn't even. I mean, this is his daughter, you know. You would think if she's in drugs or something, you would do everything in your power to try to stop that, you know. But, you know, he's a coward, you know, he has his own problems, you know. He's probably all stressed up, he's aged because things that he's done in the past and he feels that he's in trouble for, you know. So that's why he's running like a coward, you know. But his daughter shouldn't, you know, suffer because of that, you know.
Yeah, right.
But if those kids didn't have a comadre or her sister, oh, they'd be in juvenile hall, you know.
Unbelievable.
Because the other mother, the mother of this child, she's the dope fiend too.
Oh,
You
no.
know, that's how come they took him away from the first time. You know, and then after the kids were doing good and they were in school and the comadre had everything they needed for them, she wanted the kids back. And she, where the hell you been for the last 5 years? We've been raising these kids for 5 years. Now all of a sudden, she hasn't seen the kids in 5 years, but now she wants custody. They said, no, you're not going to get custody. You know, now they don't even want to go back.
Doesn't this sound like just a bunch of chisme? Like family chisme? And it kind of, for me, it's like a guy sitting in prison serving a life term, never going to see daylight again, has never done a darn thing for his kids or any of his family, is going to invoke some moral superiority about how other people raise their kids. That's kind of like hypocritical to me, you know. And I'm just listening to it because everything he talks about people is criticizing. But again, I'm painting a picture of who David really is. This is really who the guy is. He's not some cool, laid-back old guy. He's a bitter old man. And I get it. I mean, it's rough sitting in prison, having to die there. It's rough, you know. It's but to sit back and pontificate, right? He's pontificating about, you know, how people should raise their kids or what's expected. He couldn't raise his own kids, and that's a reality. That's a reality. His kids ended up going to prison, and I'm not judging him for that. You know, every man is responsible for his own actions, right? In fact, one of my sons ended up going to jail, and I felt like an utter freaking failure as a human being when that happened. It had nothing to do with like gang stuff. My kids were not gang members, but my son had a substance abuse problem, and I get it. All families face that, right? So and he's facing some stuff here with his family, right? And there's grandkids. But I just get that feeling like he's superior to everybody. He feels that he's sitting in a position of superiority, and maybe in his own mind he thinks that, but that's not reality out here.
With the mother, you know, they want to come in with Helen and Barney because they have it made. You know, they get, you know, you got good clothes, you get food, and you got a good family around you that actually cares about you. You know,
Right.
But Liana, that's the one that was been acting up, you know. But hopefully her sister could set her straight.
And I hope so.
Yeah.
They said she's going to end up out in the street.
Yeah, because, well, the comadre wasn't even taking her back. Because she wanted to have sex with boys and things like that. And the comadre told you, man, because they all used to cry up, you know, call on the phone crying to the comadre. They wanted to come back, and they took Brianna back, but they didn't want to take Liana back because she thought that she was the influence over Brianna. And Brianna's the oldest one, you know. So they just said, "No, I'm not taking you back," you know, because they used to sneak out the house or else bring boys in the room, and oh man, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
And that's why they threw them out the house.
But, you know, they don't want them getting pregnant. And, you know, they're old.
Yeah.
They can't start out with babies, too.
Well, that's what she's too old. Man, I'm too old to be caring for this kid right now. It's not even my kid. She said it's not even blood.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it's who we are. You know, what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
Throw them on the street?
They're nice. She's a strong woman.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her. I want to get together with her, but she knows she fell and she had a hole in her head somewhere.
Oh wow.
And she's all it's all healed. She said she might have it taken care of, but
Yeah.
she was seriously injured.
She came home from somewhere, tripped over something and hit her on the brick.
Yeah.
Put her whole body came out and she was bleeding like a chicken.
Aye.
You know, man, I'm thinking, man, damn, girl, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
Because I never, they should be, man, if they ain't already in their 70s.
They're in their 70s.
Yeah, because
I remember she told me I'm already 70.
yeah,
That was about a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in their 70s.
yeah, because I remember they used to tell me stuff from back in the 30s. 30. They didn't look old back then when I was out, you know, but she sent me pictures of her, and you can tell she's aged.
Yeah.
And to be caring for kids at that age, you know, that's, you know, I know it's a burden.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's all she had was daughters. I think she had 4 daughters and 1 son, and her son, he was on drugs and
Wow.
giving him problems and stuff like that.
Unbelievable.
But all the daughters had been good daughters. They're all married, have their own families and stuff. And then the boy, he finally got straight, and his kid is mentally retarded. You know, he has his problem. And the woman that he was married didn't want nothing to do with the child.
Oh, no.
So now the boy has to raise a child with this disability, and that's how this. I told him, well, he has no alternative. That's his son.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? Is he gonna say he don't want his son? So now they're, you know, they gotta raise the kid like the way he is. So, oh man, but don't, you know, for the mother and father, all these things that are happening around them at their age.
She
Yeah.
is so nice, you know.
Yeah.
She did not care for Evelyn at all. Not even, you know.
No.
I feel bad for the family, but, you know, it's no loss to me, to my life.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's how Evelyn felt. You know, it's not lost to me. I feel for them that they have this loss.
Yeah.
And you know what she said? She says, I would imagine that Evelyn doesn't have her affairs in order, so that she's got her grave and services. You know what she said?
Mm.
We're probably going to have to help.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind, because those kids, her kids ain't gonna do it.
Yeah?
Her kids ain't gonna do it. Evelyn's supposed to own that home.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
she's paid for that in cash, so those kids, well, whoever's going to step up, I mean, you see, Ricky and David, they're the oldest. You know, they're going to have to take control of their financial, I mean, I don't know how many, all the kids are old.
They would have to have, if she didn't have a living trust or
Mm.
a will or something, it'll go into probate.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And then
That's even if there's no payment? I mean, if it's...
even if it's debt-free, yeah, because she said, Helen said that it'll probably have to go into probate. You know, so, you know, that is a good question. If it's clear and free, then it's, somebody has to be, who's the oldest? Oh, Ricky.
Ricky's the oldest.
So they would
Yeah.
allow him.
Yeah, because she remember I told you she won that lawsuit
Yeah.
for that slip and fall? That was probably a scam, but she won.
God.
And she paid for that house and food, because Helen told me that she bought a house.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know, and that was quite a long time ago when the market was still cheap.
Then if it's free and clear and she didn't borrow any money on it,
That's another thing.
then it would, I don't know, it still would have to be, there could still be taxes on it because the transfer. See, if you have a living trust, there's no fees
Yeah.
involved. The person that's named in the living trust as the executor or administrator,
Yeah.
they have full power and authority.
Yeah.
But if she didn't have anything in writing, it has to go to the courts. That's my understanding. So that's where probate comes in.
Yeah, and I can't see her making those kind of intelligent choices under the
There's
circumstances.
inheritance tax.
Yeah.
The state gets you on that. And that's probably what they're going to attack them on.
Yeah.
So, but I thought that was really nice for her to think of that on that, you know. We're probably going to have to help them out to bury her. That, you know, that is really nice. I don't know if I could do that if she was my sister-in-law.
Well, Barney, they're financially stable, you know, but like I said, there's bad blood with the daughters. You know, they were always cordial to her because of their father. You know, that's his half-sister, but, you know, but that's all it was.
Yeah.
You know, but I forgot what daughter it was, the husband, but it did happen. And they tried to keep it quiet from me, but I already knew.
Wow.
But, and that's before we were even together. But Evelyn never told me about it,
Gee.
you know. But Helen's the one that told me. Helen told me everything.
I'm going to call her and see if they spoke to him. But either way, he's probably been notified. Whether they spoke to him, I don't know. That's what I want to know, if they actually spoke to him.
Yeah.
And if they told, because when something like that happens, do they tell you before you get the phone call, or do you actually?
Yeah, well, they'll tell us, they'll let us know you have a phone call. And that's it, that's all they tell you.
Oh, okay.
So then when they come and escort you to the office, then the lieutenant that's there is going to actually allow you to talk. He tells you. You know, your mother expired and...
Yeah, that's the probably most difficult time in the shoe. And that's at this point in time, you were only allowed phone calls for death or serious illness, right? Like incapacitation, right? It's the only phone call you'd ever get. You didn't get these free phone calls or tablets or anything like that. You didn't get the non-disciplinary segregation calls and ad-seg once a week. This was, if you got a call, it was bad. And it's so impersonal, right? They come down, they chain you up. Two officers escort you to the counselor's office, or a counselor or somebody, a lieutenant or somebody says, hey, I got bad news. Your relative is now deceased, or, you know, your family wants to talk to you, right? And you make the phone call. They make the phone call. You don't touch the phone. They play. You're sitting, and they put it on speakerphone. So there's about 3 or 4 individuals that they're with you when you get the news, and you don't want to break, not in front of them. You know, you're sad. It's tearing at you, and you feel that lump in your throat, especially when your family's crying, right? And you don't want to break. It's just kind of the worst way that you can inform somebody that they've lost somebody they loved. And he's talking about that right now. I remember getting a couple of those calls, and they were never easy. So I imagine the son, David, who they're talking about, he could send message to him. I imagine I would have immediately. I would rather have the information coming from me than from some impersonal administrative officer that will pull my son out and give him the news. And that's another thing. His son's there with him, right? And you'd think that, man, I know, I remember Acardan Wino talking about his son driving up. Wino Grajeda, yeah, my son's going to get here. We're going to cell up together. It's going to be like good old times. Like, he was happy. Now, I would have considered myself an utter failure as a human being if my son drove up to a prison I was at. And not drive physically the car. That's a phrase. Like, he arrived, he was transferred to a prison and was there to do time with me. I've seen guys, yeah, my son's going to come here. He's trying to get a transfer here with me. And then when they get there, they're like in glee. Like that's a thing, you know, like that's something to be proud of. And I never got that. I never wanted my kids to live this life. And I'm certain that no parent wants that for their child. But he's talking about that now.
This is going to be your sister that's on the line, and we're going to connect you with her right now. And then they let the family get into the details and stuff. But they let you beforehand tell you, you know, your mother expired, and that's what this phone call's about. Hell, that's the only time anybody gets a phone call for.
Yeah.
Somebody's, so, you know, right when they tell you somebody, you got a phone call, but damn, man, somebody, shit, that ain't good, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
But,
I hope he got to talk to Monica.
yeah, you would think so.
Yeah, hopefully, if they have got somebody nice.
Yeah. What happened to Monica?
Oh, Monica, she's been having a lot of pain, and we like it when she doesn't come.
She, I sent her a basket. I sent her a basket for her birthday.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
She laughed. That's good. That'll make her feel better. She told me to tell you that she loves you very much, and that her not writing has nothing to do with you. And she said to tell him that I've been going through a lot psychologically, and that I'm on medication, psych meds.
I should be on medication.
They don't help her. I think they made matters worse. And then she, what else did you tell me to tell you?
Speaking of medication, I remember Spider used to take anti-seizure medication. He's epileptic. And I remember he used to take those pills regularly. And he'd call them Baby Be Cools. I have to take my Baby Be Cools. The pills, that's what he would call them, right? And I asked him one day, what is that? He says, oh, it's for my seizures, right? I have seizures. I'm epileptic. I've never seen him have a seizure. I guess his medication, he had it controlled wonderfully because I never saw him have a seizure. I never heard of that. But he did. He's taken that medication forever, and they're talking about medication. When he said I should be on medication, it just brought back that memory right now. Funny how these little these video clips and these audio calls they bring back memories, and that's why I kind of like doing this. You remember something about the person, and you're able to relay that in the video. That's what I love doing here.
So many things. Like, I don't know if I'm going to remember all this. Tell him the next time you go in October, I will be coming along. Make sure that he knows that I'm not mad at him. And I go, okay. And I'll tell him. And I think she's coming to the end of her sorrow. We'll see.
She's still in contact with the guy?
No. Not at all.
Oh, she's just trying to get over.
She wants to marry him, but he doesn't want to talk. She doesn't accept it. I told her, she asked me, because I don't want to come right now out and tell her without her asking me. You know, because I know she won't accept it anyway. So I waited for her to ask me. And after 2 years, she asked me, what do you think, Mom? Do you think this is going to happen? And I said, no. I didn't say, I've been waiting for this moment. I wish you had asked me 2 years ago. And so I said, no. And she goes,
I told her that. That's why she got all mad at me.
she's mad.
Did you read my letter that I wrote to her?
Yeah, and she's also mad at Kimmy and Nancy.
Well, that's what Kimmy told me, because I told Kimmy about it. She said, man, I've been in the doghouse for 2 years. I said, yeah, but I didn't think she was going to do that to me. She said, you ain't nobody.
Well, she loves you more than she loves all that. She loves him, but you're her prince, you know, but she, and then so a couple of days later, she asked me in the morning, well, Mom, have you ever been wrong? You've been wrong, haven't you? And I said, I have been wrong in my life, yes.
You know, I'm listening to the visit, and David seems genuinely happy right there. He's giggling, he's laughing, and that's the friend that I remember. We would joke around. He was a good guy to be around. This was before he was bitter. I guess we get old, we get bitter, right? But that's the guy I remember being my friend. You know, we were cool. We were actually friends. We used to walk the yard together. We used to hang out. We used to do all that, you know. And in the shoe, we used to hang out together. On the main line, we hung out together. And I see that. And what it evokes is this: when you would get visits with your family, there are moments where it was just sheer happiness. You're happy to see your family. They're coming from 1,000 miles away, right? So these visits, it's a daunting task for a family to come up and have to drive, 13, 14 hours and spend, money on hotels and all the expenses they incur. But for that brief moment, you're out of the cell. You're not there. You're with your sister, your brother, your father, your mother, and you're loving them, And I could see that in David right now. He's just giggling and laughing. There's no animosity, nothing. And you can see he's a human being right there. You can see David as a human being right there. For me, that's what I see. I don't know what you guys see.
But I gotta say, most of the time, I'm right. and I just let it go. She didn't want to accept it. And, and almost everybody has told her. But Liz, she fools Liz, and Liz said, I thought Liz told me, because I was telling her she's still going on about Joey. She said, I thought that was all over. I go, it's not over, Liz. She doesn't want to let go. So, but I think she's coming to the point. She's very close, yeah. And then she saw this guy. We went to this place to have sandwiches and eat, and she saw this guy. That's why I know she's open, but she thinks she has a hope in this guy, so she doesn't want to let go of that guy to go into the real world. And she saw this guy, and he talked to her. And he says, hello, and he helped her get her a tea at the place where she went by herself. And she said, Mom, there's this real cute guy over there. I go, oh, really? That's nice. And she says, he's a war veteran. He has wood legs. He told me. And I said, well, and she says, do you think I could have a chance with him? And I go, to me, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
That she's looking at another man. I don't care what he looks like or smells like or whatever he is. I don't care if he doesn't have a job. I'll take him. Now that we've gone with this with her, I'll almost take anybody. Do you think that I could find like a homeboy? I go, yes, I do. I think you could find yourself a homeboy. So anyway, so this guy, he comes up to us, thank you, and he says, he came over to talk to us, and he pulled up his shirt. I want to ask you something. And he tells me and Monica, and I go, gee, maybe he likes her. Because, he saw over there, now he's at our table.
See those notices? Those are their California IDs right here. We're not going to show those, obviously. We're going to blur those out. You can't see them at all, actually. I don't think there's a need to blur them out. But this is a visiting pass, right? This is what gets you out of the prison. After the completion of the visit, about 15 minutes prior to termination, they pass out these papers, and you need them to process out of the prison, right? And you've seen this in a number of visits that I've shown. They give you your visiting pass. They return your IDs because you need a valid California ID to get into the California Department of Corrections. And that visiting pass is all important for getting out of. And they also have another added security measure. They stamp your hand with an invisible ink that's visible only through ultraviolet light. When you leave the prison, you have to put your hand under the light. It shows the prison stamp and ensures that you are not an inmate attempting to leave the visiting area under the guise of being a visitor, right? So they have some layers of protection and security that go along with visiting.
Joe had left, and so then he says, look at this paper. He says, this is the DMV, and they want $32 for me to get a license. It's gone up so high. And Monica had already told me he's a war veteran, he has no legs, and so I'm already feeling compassionate toward him. And he shows me the paper, and I go, well, that's a lot of money. And he says, but I don't have it. I don't have $32. And so I thought, wow. I said, I don't have a lot of money right now, but I'll give you what I have. And I gave him, I had a bunch of ones, a little stack, and it was like about $12 to $15. And I said, I have some money I'll give you to help you out. He says, thank you, but be discreet about it, because they called the cops on me here not too long ago, and the Whittier PD came and got me out of here. And so I thought, well, I just disregarded that remark. And then he said, something should have clicked when he said...
Well, click as soon as you said it.
Something should have clicked when he said, I have wooden legs.
So I'm getting that the guy was a panhandler, right? He was just making collections. And that was kind of part of his hustle. Like, I have wooden legs. I don't think they make wooden legs anymore, unless it was Joe Morgan, right? And his was plastic. It wasn't a wooden leg. It was like a composite. I remember that. A flesh-toned composite leg. I think now they're carbon fiber and alloy, and they're pretty high-tech. This is, again, 13 years ago, though. And I think even then, prostheses were advanced. They weren't wooden. But what clued me into this guy being a panhandler and a hustler is that he asked her to be discreet. He's asking for money to get a license. And then he said, they'll call the police on me because they did it before and they had Whittier PD come get me. So obviously he's there, has been there in the past doing the same thing and was asked to leave by the PD. That would have tipped me off. But you know, when I give money to people I see in need, I do it just to do it. I don't care what they're going to do with it. I don't care if they look like they're have substance abuse problems, whatever. It's got to feel right for me. For me, and I do it frequently. You know, I do it frequently. For Christmas, there were vendors. They have these fruit vendors, these stands all along the road, and one specific location, and we went handing out $50 bills for Christmas, right? And it was just the joy. Some of them I'd look at them like, no, it doesn't feel right. But there's some that it just feels right, and you give it to them, right? But I give it without any strings. It's just, here you go. And I think that's what she did to him. She just, because she felt compassionate towards him. And like I said, like, you're seeing the humanity here, right? Let's get rid of the fact that David's a mobster and that she's a secretary, right? And it's kind of how I like to go into this, right? You may hear some personal opinions come out. I'm human like anybody else. I try to remain objective, and I try to give the benefit of the doubt to the defendant, and discard everything that's criminal and say, no, that's innocuous until something confirms that belief, right? But it's moments like this that I can identify with them because I lived this, right? I lived these visits. I had these visits, and I know how they are. So I am seeing two individuals just enjoying each other's company right here, right now, at this moment. This is what they're doing.
They don't give wooden legs anymore. Hello? All the Iraqi soldiers have prosthetic, all, fancy stuff. It costs tens of thousands. But they didn't click in me because I'm thinking maybe he likes Monica and I'm open and he's trying to connect with her and he's just using this as an excuse to talk. But he really has a knife. Well, I got the money. I wrapped it in a napkin because he said, be discreet. And I gave it to him. He goes, thanks. He went like that with a napkin with the money in it. So the more he kept talking, and then he said, I have a daughter. And he kept going telling us the story of his life. But I'm enduring it thinking he's really here because he wants to hook up with money. And I'm going along with it, And so he says, I have a daughter. She had an accident when she was a little girl. I'm looking for her. I'm looking for my daughter. She's 18 years old. And I go, really? You're looking for your daughter? And he hadn't seen her since she was a baby. And he said, well, she's about 16, 17, or 18, something like that. And that's when I thought, he lost me. I go, I don't care what he likes, Monica. He doesn't know how old his daughter is. And he doesn't know where she is. I go, I think I got a bum on my hands.
That's why they arrested him the first time.
Yes. And so he said, I went to the Social Security, and they denied me housing. And I go, oh, that's horrible. He said, I went in there with my bag today, and the lady wanted to check my bag. And I said, you can't look in there because I have my chonies, a wet towel, and my clothes. I go, on top of everything, he's homeless?
Did he even work at the place?
He already had my money in his pocket.
No, but did he even actually work at the place?
No. He was a customer.
Yeah, you got finagled.
And I told Monica, and finally I go, he's a loser. I don't, like I said, it's okay if he doesn't have a job, if he's, semi-bum, but not 100% bum.
Yeah.
And so I told him, and once he took a breath from changing from one story to another, I said, we gotta go. And I looked at Monica and I said, we need to go. And she looked at me, she goes, I'm ready. She had already seen through it too. The daughter thing, when he didn't know how old his daughter was, and he had all his clothes in there, she said she woke up too. And I said, hurry up before he sees our car. He's going to want to ride.
Yeah, that's bad right there.
So I can't believe it. When Monica said, I can't believe how stupid I am. I said, you're not stupid. He got the money out of me.
Yeah.
And he took every dollar I had. And I said, Monica, I thank God I didn't have any 20s, because I would have given it to him. Iraqi veteran, he lost his leg. He's got the paper to prove to me. He's good. I said, he is good. That guy is good. Because I didn't see through his story. And it was a real paper, and he had written his name at the bottom.
Well, you figure how many times a day he does that.
Oh,
He probably got more money in his pocket than he...
And he wants $32, the money. You know, he's not asking for a handout. Like, most times, can you help me out? Or you got any loose change? No, he wants $30-something. He's good. I said, you know what? That guy's better than Roy, my brother.
That is crazy. She just compared her brother to a vagrant or a transient. I'm sorry. I think I used the politically correct phrase, to a transient, and his ability to hustle money out of people. You know, here's the thing. I just expounded on that. We only got a couple minutes left in the visit, so let me expound on this. As human as they seem, right? As compassionate as they seem with each other, brother and sister, having a loving conversation. That's the difficulty in doing communications analysis, when you have subjective and personal experience with the person, because you have an affinity, right? I remember a friendship I had with this guy, and you want to discount, you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, and you have to parse that. You have to cut that away. Like, you have to cut the personal experience away. Either if you had a bad experience with this guy, you don't want to taint your evaluation with that bias, or if you had good experiences with him, you don't want to taint that towards favorable opinion, right? So it's not always easy to do this, particularly with people you know. It's not always easy to separate, you know, your personal experiences from that. I have to. It's what keeps you objective in court, right? When you testify as an expert, you're able to say, oh yeah, I had a conflict with the guy, but that has no bearing on my evaluation today, and it doesn't, right? Or you know, I have a really good opinion of the guy. I think he's a great guy, but that doesn't have any bearing on my evaluation either. And you have to be able to have that professional objectivity, right? So is touching and as moving as just seeing two people laughing, right? And consider the conditions, right? Pelican Bay State Prison, the most austere prison in the United States, no human contact. This is his human interaction with his sister. A big, thick safety glass and a cage. And he's finding happiness there. So once you remove all that, though, and you listen to the communication, I have seen and I've heard nothing illicit in this portion of the communication. That would be my professional analysis. No illicit communication whatsoever, right? I haven't heard any message relayed in this segment of the communication. That would be my professional analysis, right? So that's how I go about it, right? That's how I go about analyzing communication. And you have to listen to every bit of it. You cannot gloss over, oh, this is boring. This is this is that. That's what makes this so arduous for analysts to do. And believe me, it's overwhelming. I took you into an indictment the other day, right? I just showed you the logistics of a takedown on Operation Knockout. That doesn't even begin to consider the massive man hours it takes to evaluate intercepted communications. This is a daunting task, right? Having to watch these videos either in real time or recorded, and then pass them on to additional analysts to ensure that the primary evaluation is accurate.
Roy's good. Roy can get money out of anybody, and he'll make you think that, you know, he's doing you a favor.
Yeah.
But he's better than Roy. I met somebody who's better than Roy.
Yeah, he cried a good song, man.
Yeah, that was funny. That was unbelievable. Well, I better let you touch it.
Hello? Goodbye. So, when
she told me this about this guy, I thought, you really got took. I would have told him, let me see the legs. Oh, Monica didn't want to see the legs.
You don't see it?
No. I said, let me see the legs. I would have asked him, I said, what's your service number?
Yeah.
Every man knows the number in his heart.
Yeah.
You know, I would have kept on, you know, that this guy's a good guy. I told Sylvia, I want to see him. You see him here again? Let me know. I want to get his number.
You probably went and got the next, what do you call him?
Patron?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sure. He's a schemer.
Yeah.
Like Sylvia said, he's good. Very good.
Well, when first he got Monica, he used Monica as stepping stone. Yeah.
Yeah. The little guppy. Then she went to the big fish.
Yeah.
Figuring, I'll get him somewhere.
Yeah. So how you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
We got the TV. I got the TV. And I got your letter stating that you got the envelopes and paper.
Yeah.
Do you need more paper?
No, I'm good.
How about the envelopes? Keep
No,
sending those?
I got some already. Yeah, I got enough right now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Let me tell you a little story. You're not going to believe it. It would have taken too long. It would have been confusing. Anyway, the other day, about a month ago, I was going to the bank to deposit a check on Hadley, Broadway. And as I'm going up Broadway in the car, there's this crow. It's got something in its claws.
I remember this story from when I first evaluated it. This was maybe 10 years ago I evaluated this, right? But I remember this story. He rescued a parrot. I think it's the same video. But he rescued a parrot. And he was excited about it. He loved this parrot, right? He took it home. Let's hear it and see if it's the right story.
And it's trying to fly in the air. It was in the air, but it was trying heavy ahead.
Yeah.
Well, in its clutches, it had a parrot.
Yeah.
And somehow he let go of the parrot, and by the time I drove up, the parrot fell, hit the cement, and I opened the door, picked the parrot up, threw it in the car, and now he's at home. I fed him and everything.
He said,
Yeah.
That's 3 you got then.
And I got 3 now. Because that little parrot, it looks like that one in your hand.
Oh.
Yeah, big guy.
I'll talk to you tomorrow, bro.
Okay.
Take care of yourselves, huh?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was the parrot story. I remembered that. I don't know how the heck I remembered it. I really don't. But this is the termination of the visit. Let's see if there's any peripheral conversation, because this phone right here, it's recording all ambient sound here. I don't think he's going to engage in conversation. That noise you're hearing that sounds like static, those are cell doors opening and closing in the background. Excuse me. That'll do it, folks. That's the visit. It concludes the Along Came a Spider series of visits. We have more coming up. And just wanted to show you the visit in its entirety and the interactions. Like I said, we got a bunch of comments about her being just a grandma type that seemed not to be involved in anything. But believe me, there's stuff that's involved with her that's going to get very detailed. Again, we wanted to give you a view of David Galvadon Sr., Spider from the Mexican Mafia. Kind of give you an idea of different mobsters and their personalities. And it's one of the things we do here on Uncensored is put out unprecedented content. Hope you enjoyed this visit. I'll be bringing more in the near future. With that said, folks, peace out. Stay safe.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Boxer.